Hello everyone, welcome to my English classes. Today I have taken up a text from grade 10 supplementary reader Footprints Without Feet, chapter 6, The Making of a Scientist, written by Robert W. Peterson. So this text is about the great scientist Richard H. E. Bright. It was his curiosity and a will to win for the right reasons which made him very successful. So we have a lot to take from this text. So the first few lines of the text tells us how Richard was successful at a very young age. The article of Richard and his friend was published in the scientific journal Proceedings of the National Academy of Science. He was only 22 at the time. It was the first time that the research work of college student was published. So it was a rare honor for Richard. We also get to know, he was the only child of his parents and he grew up reading in Pennsylvania, United States of America. Since he had no one to play with, he started collecting things like rocks, fossils, and coins. He used to gaze at stars at night, and he also started collecting butterflies. These were some of his hobbies. In this part of the text, we are told about, E. Bright's mother's role in helping him to become a successful scientist. So I read it from the text. From the first, he had a driving curiosity along with a bright mind. So we know that E. Bright was always curious to learn new things and had a sharp mind. And his mother used to encourage him to learn. So if you get a question like this, what is mother's role in Richard E. Bright's life? So this entire page can be used to write a proper answer. It also comes as a part of your value-based question for 5 marks in exams. Okay, so let's try to understand. So it was our mother who took him on trips, bought him telescopes, microscopes, cameras, mounting materials, and other equipments, and helped him in many other ways. I've underlined this. I would request all the students to write or make use of these lines in their answers as well. So the mother says that I was his only companion until he started school. His mother said, after that I would bring home friends for him. She used to bring home friends for Richard, but at night they both used to do things together. And mother says that Richie was my whole life. She used to address Richard as Richie. So she says that Richie was my whole life after the death of her husband. And at that time, Richard was in third grade. So she and her son spent almost every evening at the dining room table. If he did not have things to do, I found work for him. So the mother is saying that if he did not get things to do, I used to find work for him. If not physical work, then I used to make him learn things because he always wanted to learn more and more. And learn he did. He earned top grades in school on everyday things. He was just like every other kid, his mother said. So by the time he was in second grade, E. Bright had already collected 25 species of butterflies that was found around his hometown. So next, it's also told to us that, that would have been end of his butterfly collection. But at the moment, her mother gave him a book, The Travels of Monarch X, and that book was a turning point in his life. That book changed his approach towards science because that book told him how monarch butterflies migrated to Central America. And this opened the world of science to this young collector. In this part of the text, we are told that, at the end of the book, which Richard's mother gave to him, the readers of the book were asked to help the study of butterfly migrations. They were asked to take butterflies by Dr. Urquhart, who was a professor of the University of Toronto, Canada. After that, Richard's mother wrote to the doctor, and soon Richard was seen, attaching text to the wings of the butterflies. The person who would, find a butterfly with a tag was asked to send the tag to Dr. Urquhart. The butterfly, collecting season would last around for 6 weeks in Reading, Pennsylvania. So then Ebert understood that, if he kept on collecting butterflies one by one, he would not be able to collect many. So the next step he thought would be, to raise a flock of butterflies in his basement. So what he did was that he used to catch a female butterfly, collect its eggs and raise them in a basement through his proper life cycles. Then he used to take the wings of butterflies and would let them go. So in the process, there were thousands of monarchs in his basement, growing in different life stages for many years. So I would like to read out that line from the text, which I have just explained. He would catch a female monarch, take her eggs, and raised them in his basement through the life cycle from egg to caterpillar to pupa to adult butterfly. Then he would take the butterfly's wings and then let them go. For several years, his basement was home to thousands of monarchs in different stages of development. So where there were thousands of monarchs in his basement growing in different life stages for many years. Soon he started losing interest in tagging butterflies. It was a very slow and tedious process. And also it did not get him much response. So he said that, out of many butterflies that he tagged, only 2 could be recaptured by people. And those 2 were not more than 75 miles from where he lived. This part of the text begins as I read it from the text. Then in the 7th grade, he got a hint of what real science is when he entered a country science fair and lost. So when he was in 7th grade, he came to know what real science was as he lost at a country science fair. It was a really sad feeling for him to see, other people win something while he did not win anything. He showed frog tissue slides under a microscope, but realized that all the winners had actually tried to perform an experiment and just not make a neat display, right? So he had already started developing that competitive spirit inside him. Now he decided that he would be making a real project for the next year's fair. He thought and realized that he has maximum knowledge about the subjects of insects as he had been studying them for quite some time now. So he thought it would be better to write to Dr. Urquhart for ideas, and he sent back a lot of ideas for his next year's project. So he remained busy with those ideas all throughout his high school, and in the process he won many prizes. So when he was in 8th class, he tried to find the cause of a viral disease that killed nearly all monarch caterpillars every few years. So Ebright thought that the disease might be because it was being transmitted through beetles. So what he did was he started raising caterpillars in the presence of beetles. But it was of no use. But when he showed that he had tried such an experiment, he won something for his project. For the next year, he tried the theory that viceroy butterflies copy monarchs. He put forward the theory, that viceroy butterflies looks like monarchs because monarchs do not taste good to the birds and birds like to eat viceroys. Okay, so the more the viceroy looked like the monarch, the less likely it was that viceroy would be eaten by a bird. So he wanted to show this in his project, that a bird eat monarch or not. He found out that the sterling bird would prefer eating a monarch. Later research showed that viceroys copied the monarch. This project won him the first division in the zoology department and the third overall position in the country science fair. So in this we are told a different development, in the 7th grade, in the 8th grade, how he learned a lot from the country science fair, which he has lost when he was in 7th grade. And from there was no looking back. How he approached Dr. Urquhart and he sent him a lot of ideas and he started working on the ideas. In this part of the text, we are told, what happened to Richard Ebright during his 2nd year of high school. So I try to underline all the important key points from the text, and I would explain everything, all the lines that is mentioned here in this part of the text, which is very important from exam point of view. And I feel if these lines are included in your answers, that would give extra weight to your answer and will even fetch you good marks. So let's try to understand what is there in this entire page. So during his 2nd year of high school, Richard started a research from which he found about an unknown insect hormone that also helped him in his new theory about the life of cells as well. So the question from there the research started was very simple as to what was the purpose of the 12 tiny gold spots on a monarch pupa. I repeat, the question from where the research started was very simple as what was the purpose of 12 tiny gold spots on a monarch pupa. So most of the people felt that it was just for decoration to make it look good, but Dr. Urquhart did not believe in what other people said. So to find the answer to this question, Ebright and another excellent science student together made a device that proved that these spots produced a hormone necessary for the full development of a butterfly from a pupa. So I repeat, this spots produced a hormone necessary for the full development of a butterfly from a pupa. So this was not for decoration, it served a purpose. With this, Ebright, won the first prize at the country science fair and the entry to international science and engineering fair. So you need to remember this. There, his project won third prize. He also got a chance to work at the entomology laboratory for the Walter Reed Army Institute of Research. So he continued his work with the monarch pupa as a high school junior, and that led him to win the first prize in the International Science Fair as well. After winning this prize, he also got a chance to work at the Army laboratory during summers. Then during this senior year, he tried another experiment in which he grew cells from a monarch's wing in a culture and showed that cells would divide and develop into a normal butterfly. So what did he do? He showed that cells would divide and develop into a normal butterfly wing scales, provided that they were treated with the hormone from the gold spots. This research of his won the first prize at the international fair, and he spent his summer after graduation doing more research on the subject at the Army laboratory and the laboratory of US Department of Agriculture. So he started working more on the hormone released from the gold spots during the following summers at the laboratory of the Agriculture Department. He also identified the chemical structure of the hormone using the lab spatial equipment. So because of this, after 1.5 years, Ebright got the idea for his new theory, which was all about the cell life. The idea came to him when he was, looking at the X-ray photos of the chemical structure of the hormone. He did not get excited about his discovery as soon as he found it, but he came to a realization that his years of study on the insect hormone had solved one of the puzzles of biology. It had solved the mystery of how cells could read the blueprint of its DNA. So basically he found out that as the DNA is in the nucleus of a cell that controls heredity, therefore it determines the form and function of a cell. So hence DNA is the blueprint of life. So I would try to again reiterate this last part because it's very important. So what did he find out? Ebright found out that DNA is in the nucleus of a cell that controls heredity, and therefore it determines the form and function of a cell. So hence DNA is the blueprint of life. In this part of the text, we are told that Ebright and his college roommate James R. Wong worked all the night drawing pictures, constructing plastic models of molecules to show, how it would happen and to explain the entire process. They also wrote a paper which was instrumental in explaining the process, the theory, right? So Ebright also graduated, as a researcher at the Harvard University, and he started doing practical experiments to test his theory, right? It was expected that if the theory proved to be correct, then that would be a big step towards understanding the complex system of life, and also that would lead to new ideas for preventing certain kind of cancer and other diseases. So this showed how his research on the monarch pupa led him to a theory about cell life. So this is very important. You might be asked a question, how his research on the monarch pupa led him to a theory about cell life. So this part of the text you have to write, include in your answer. He had been keen in science ever since, he started collecting butterflies, but this did not keep him away from his other interest in life. So generally we students have a tendency to give excuses. Since I had to do this, I could not pursue my interest. But if you have to see Ebright's life, we have a lot of things to take from him. So his interest in science did not keep him away from other interests in life. He was a champion debater, a great public speaker, and a great canoeist, boat racer. He was also an all-round outdoor sports person and an expert photographer. So we can say that, he was all-rounder, a multifaceted personality. So as he was a great student and always used to score good marks, he used to focus his extra energy on debating and Model United Nations Club. He also used to admire his social studies teacher and was an advisor to both clubs, Mr. Richard. Ebright thought that, his teacher was the right person, as he was the one used to instill in his mind new ideas, who opened his mind to new ideas. His teacher was impressed, with the fact that how Ebright would give an extra 3-4 hours of effort at night for the debate research, apart from the time that he used to give to his butterfly research and his other interest. So it's well said, where there is a will, there is a way. He also, started to have competitiveness, not in a bad sense, because, he did not win to get prizes just for the sake of winning, but because he wanted to do the best and whatever he could. This is what makes a good scientist. So the title of the text is The Making of a Good Scientist, and you get many value-based questions. What are the qualities of a good scientist? So this part of the text, the last part of the text, the last page of the text is very important, is very crucial. Here we are told that, he said that he was competitive, but not in a bad sense. You need to be competitive, but in a good sense, because he did not win to get prizes just for the sake of winning, but because he wanted to be the best at whatever he did, and that makes a good scientist. He needs a first-rated mind along with curiosity and an added will to win for the right reasons. Since the time Richard's mother got him the book about migration of monarchs, his curiosity towards science has just grown. So the last part of the text, I would read it. And that is one of the ingredients in the making of a scientist. So you again get a question, 2-marker question as well. What are the ingredients that goes in making of a good scientist? So start with the first-rate mind. Just add curiosity to it and mix in it the will to win for the right reasons. So you should have the will to win for the right reasons. You should have a curious mind and a first-rated mind, a mind which is open to all, and a mind which wants to win and do the best. Ebright has these qualities. So Ebright has these qualities very well. From the time the book The Travel of Monarch X was given to him, that opened the world of science to him, and Ebright has never lost his scientific curiosity. So I hope you have understood the text. So if you have liked this video, please do like, share, comment, and subscribe to my channel for more videos. Thank you for watching my videos. Thank you.